Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down big stories. Today, we're diving into the absolutely wild true story of a mysterious day trader who turned his video game skills into a fortune, and once made a trade so massive it actually moved an entire country's stock market. So let's get right into it. Is that even possible? Well, we're about to find out, because this is the incredible story of a legendary Japanese day trader known only by his handle, CIS. He's the guy who proved that sometimes the skills you pick up in an arcade are worth way more than anything they teach you in business school. All right, so let's set the scene. Our story kicks off back in 1979, right in the middle of Japan's huge economic boom. The whole country was thriving, but there was this young boy growing up in Tokyo who felt completely out of place. Yeah, CS grew up in a really strict, traditional home. His parents had lived through the poverty after World War II, so for them, education was everything. But CS, he just wasn't good at school. And when his grades were bad, his mother would beat him. He felt totally hopeless, like he was trapped in a system he just couldn't win. But here's the twist. While he was failing in the classroom, he found a place where he was a king, the local arcades. Away from all that pressure, he discovered a world he could totally dominate. He was a natural at fighting games, had a genius eye for patterns, and a competitive streak a mile wide. He absolutely mastered these games, and in the process, he learned a lesson that would change his life. Getting emotional made him sloppy. It made him easy to taunt, and it made him lose. To win, he had to be lightning fast and ice cold. He got so good, other players gave him the nickname CIS, which, get this, means death. So he ends up trapped in a soul-crushing 9-to-5 job that he absolutely hates. And he has this realization that the one thing the system truly respects is money. Feeling completely dead inside, he decides the only way to win the game of life and to finally prove his parents wrong was to make a whole lot of it. So, how in the world does a gamer become a master trader? Well, as it turns out, the logic is surprisingly similar. Picture this. It's the year 2000. CIS is only 21 years old. He takes every penny he has, about $30,000, and dives headfirst into the stock market. His only obsession? Figuring out how to beat it. And he approached it just like a video game. He wasn't trading companies, he was playing against other people. His strategy was beautifully simple. First, find the trend. He used tools to spot patterns, to see where the crowd was moving. Second, and this is crucial, cut your losses fast. If a trade went bad, he was out. No emotion. It's just like knowing when your opponent has you beat. And third, let your winners run. When you have an advantage, you press it hard. And let me tell you, his strategy worked. His growth was just explosive. Between the ages of 25 and 26, in a single year, he turned $3 million into $30 million. He became this underground legend in Japan, the outlaw who had cracked the code and beaten the system. But with that kind of legendary success, well, it came with a monstrous dose of pride. The thrill he was chasing started to fade, and that is when things started to go horribly, horribly wrong. You know, the money he'd wanted so badly as a kid just felt like a score on a screen now. So to chase that original high, that feeling of winning his freedom, he started making bigger, more reckless trades. He was getting overconfident. And his massive account size, which had been his greatest strength, suddenly became his biggest weakness. In 2006, when a market panic hit, he was too big to sell his position fast enough. He lost $5 million. Just a year later, when the first rumbles of the 2008 financial crisis started, he lost another $6 million in a single day.
The market, the game, it had adapted, but he hadn't. His pride was blinding him to the new reality. The stress was just immense, and it started to take a serious physical toll. We're talking gray hair, chronic stomach pain. His winning strategy just wasn't working anymore. The game was starting to beat him.
Now, a lot of people would have quit right there, cashed out what was left, and walked away. But CIS isn't most people, and this painful downfall actually set the stage for the most legendary moment of his entire career. He took a hard look in the mirror and understood that his own pride had made him arrogant and slow. The problem wasn't that he was a bad trader now, it's that he had stopped evolving. He needed a new strategy, a new way to play the game with the massive resources he now had. And his chance came on a day the world now calls Black Monday. News out of China sent shockwaves across the entire globe. Fear was everywhere. markets were plummeting, and while everyone else was panicking, CIS saw the opportunity for the single biggest trade of his life. For 2 weeks leading up to this, he had been shorting the market, which is basically betting that it's going to fall. So when the crash hit, his profits went through the roof. But that was just part one. With his stomach in knots from the stress, he executed part two perfectly. He took all those profits and he went all in, betting on the market to bounce back. If his timing was off by even a few minutes, he would have lost everything. The result? A staggering, mind-blowing $33 million profit in one day. It was the perfect trade. A trade so large, in fact, that the sheer volume of his orders physically moved the Nikkei. That's Japan's main stock index. A single person had literally moved the market. So what drives a man who has already won everything? I mean, what's the final level of the game when you've already beaten the final boss? Well, this might be the most interesting part. Despite all his wealth, CIS's life hasn't really changed. He still lives pretty humbly, trades for a few hours a day, and, yep, he still loves playing video games. He's not motivated by luxury cars or mansions. He just makes sure his family is happy and secure, and then spends the rest on his one true passion. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? His entire philosophy on life wasn't forged in some fancy business school or on a chaotic trading floor. It came from the noisy, blinking light-filled arcades of Tokyo. That's where he learned to think fast and stay calm. And that really leaves you wondering. Escaping poverty, that was just level one. For CIS, the market was never really about the money itself. It was the ultimate video game, the final boss. And the craziest part is, he's still playing.